Hi, this is Joshua Ackman. Welcome to POA, new episode, the first episode of our new podcast, where we walk you through Africa and um, blockchain updates going on the continent with my co-host Gwen, who is my partner and also my friend. We are going to be having this podcast. We did a episode zero, and this is the very first episode. And today we have something interesting we want to talk about, and how we can curb this problem in Africa. So without any further ado, welcome to the first episode. Gwen, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really great. Thank you, Joshua. Hi, everybody. So, as Joshua said, today we're going to talk about some interesting topic. One of the topic we want to talk about, which is really, really important in Africa, is land registration. Why land registration? Because it's one of the things which impacts absolutely everybody. So not only in Africa, it works worldwide, but especially in Africa. So at the beginning, I'm going to give some context elements in order for the people to have an idea of what we're talking about, and then Joshua is going to tell us a bit the situation precisely in Nigeria and what we can do with the whole blockchain thing. So first of all, the idea is to explain what is land registration. So this is a legal system that rules on who owns a piece of land, who can use it, for how long, and under what conditions. So this is what a land registration ledger is. It says who owns something and who can do what with it. So actually worldwide, only we can say that 70% of the world population has no access to conventional land registry, which is absolutely awesome, huge. It means that there is all these people who can't prove that they are the owner of where they live or where their family live for hundreds of years. So this is worldwide. In Africa, we can say that approximately 90% of the land is held under customary tenure, which means that customary laws apply, which means that there is a few people who decide who owns what, and it might change over time because of a conflict, because of something. So 90% of people in Africa don't have a legal paper or legal something saying if they are the owner or they can benefit from one piece of land. And of course, that applies a lot when it's under customary laws to the women who actually have a little to prove that they are the owner of something. So it's really a really important problem in Africa. On top of that, we can say that in most countries worldwide, in general, between 50 and 75% of the country's wealth exists in the form of land or real estate. So land is a really important factor of production that contributes to different sectors of the economy. So security and transparency is land registry is essential for the development of a community, region, a country, and it encourages landowners to invest in the land and to develop sustainable activity, which generates significant social and economic development. So as we say, currently in Africa, only barely 10% of the surface is officially documented, recorded, and searchable. So we can see here there is a real problem in Africa because there is a lot of conflict who can come from the fact that you don't know who owns what. And some people buy a land to somebody and 2 years later they discover that, no, they're not the real owner and stuff. So it generates a lot of conflicts. And on top of this, it traps an immense amount of wealth, of economic value that are not used by countries in Africa because people don't have trust in this. So they will not invest in the land if they think that perhaps in a year or two, they're just going to be kicked out. So there is here a real big issue for Africa. And yeah, this is the first context elements. I'm going to drop some links in the description if you want to know a bit more. but it gives a overall overview of what is the problem.
Totally. So the thing that people don't understand about Africa is, uh, I don't think ever there's ever been a time where uh, a reputable system or a system that actually that's actually scalable has ever been implemented in terms of registering land, and that's why there's a long history of land disputes in Africa, and it makes you wonder. Okay, well, how have we been managing land? Right? Let's go back to 500 years ago, right? 400 years ago. What has people been doing? What were the system that were adopted in terms of curbing land dispute, or actually even just registering land for communities, because lands are originally owned by indigenous people of a local place, right? So how did they register their? How would you know? 400 years ago, let's go back, Gwen. How would you know you had a land? I mean, how would you defend your land? You're in a community of say 1,000, 4,000 people, and you have something. You see, what they would do is they have a chief, right? And all the elderly people were sort of like the registrars. If they agree a land belongs to a particular person, they all have that information. It works like the blockchain, right? They were the ledgers, and yeah, so they decide who has what. So if you want to buy a land, you have to kind of consult these elders, and all of them will register the new owner of that land in their head. They were the storytellers, they were the registrars, they were everything. They managed the community, and they managed registry and records of what happens, who has a new baby, who the baby belongs, who your forefathers were, what did your father have. So you had to meet. There's a central place, and it was based off of hearsay, like who what these people are saying, these elders are saying, right? And that kind of worked, but it's not scalable. It's not a solution that's scalable, right? So what happens when the community becomes bigger, 5,000 people, 10,000 people? How are you going to keep that record? You're not going to trust an old man, just for that record, right? And from then on, colonization happened, and then there was a bit of civilization, because that's what actually happened when Africa got colonized. There was a bit of civilization if you look at history, and then they had land registry, they had systems, they brought some education that informed people how to record stuff, right? But then there's a problem, because when you start to do those things, human nature interferes, right? And then you have things like corruption. I can actually pay for someone's name to get erased. So right now, let me give you a bit of context. In Nigeria and several countries in Africa, right, you have a situation where if you're walking right now in Africa, I bet you in Nigeria, come to Lagos or Port Harcourt, where I am right now, you are going to see an empty land or a property that has on the gate, on the fence, or somewhere a board that says land not for sale, beware of 419. So 419 is like a code for scammers, right? Why till this day, we're living in 21st century, the 21st year of the 21st century, and till this day, people don't have a system that properly manage land. There's no registry. There's no land registry solution that works effectively in Africa in the 21st century. And just to tell you how big of a problem this is, and just the magnitude of this predicament that we're facing, right? So it's so important, right? Because everything has been centralized, that I can literally pay for any land I see, and if I'm not careful, that land would be resold to me, because there's no, how am I going to check it? Everybody's bribed all the way to the top, right? So how are you going to check that this land actually is, coming from the actual owner of the land, and I'm not being scammed out of my money, for that land, right? So, but if there was a way, imagine there was a way that we can store this in a decentralized ledger, right, where anybody anywhere can see the last owner of this land and see all the necessary information, the proof of land, the proof of ownership, written, where everybody, I don't have to trust you to trust the information that is there. A trustless system that records the land, and is scalable, right? So it doesn't matter how many people are in that place, that locality, how many people are in that country. It has a record from, the original person, issued, supported by the government, down to the last person. So I don't have to trust anybody. Just to tell you, because people get scammed out of their money every time because of such a big problem, right? Ask anybody that's staying outside of Nigeria in the diaspora, right? And they're trying to get land or properties. Most of them have stories of how much they've lost due to reselling of land and land scams and things like that. So it's a big problem, and it hasn't really been tackled effectively because of the corruption and centralized system they are using. Now, centralized system are not always bad, but in cases like this where you'd have to prove ownership, right? It's a problem, right? Nothing has been able to come close to a solution to this problem, right? Because if it has, you would have solved it, but it hasn't yet.
So I think that what you say is really interesting because it shows where the problem come from and where it is actually. So the idea is, as you said, like the last thing you said was really important. Like centralized is not necessarily bad. For instance, for a land registry, the fact of writing something in a ledger which is distributed could be centralized because it needs to be vetted by a government or by some legal thing.
Yeah.
But then the ledger is distributed, so then you cannot change it anymore. And this is where like the whole magic kind of happen. And as you said, there is the thing that there is in most of countries in Africa and most of land is not even like doesn't really exist officially. I mean, so perhaps Africa is actually the perfect playground. I don't know if it's the right word, but like to experiment this because it's not existing. If you want to do that in Europe, it's going to be really complicated because there is a system which exists already. So the thing is, if you have to migrate from the current situation or current system and put everything on the blockchain, it's going to take like millions of years to do that. But in Africa, since the thing doesn't exist yet, it could be precisely the right place to implement this from scratch. And something totally new, totally transparent, totally. So of course there is a lot of things to sort. Like it's going to be not just easy because there is nothing, but actually it's the place where implementing another blockchain might be more effective, less time consuming. So a lot of advantages for a new system.
Totally. Like you said, there's really, there's nothing to replace. In a sense, you're not really replacing anything because nothing really exists that manages that effectively, right? So if you want to do that in America, or you want to do that in Europe, where they have systems that actually work to an extent, that'll take years, like you said, years and years and years of paperwork, years and years of different things that they need to do, confirmation, identification, right, re-identifying and stuff like that. But for here, like, all you have to do is speak to the higher powers, right, talk to the government and see what they have and enact these new rules, because really what they have is not sustainable, it's not scalable, it's nothing, doesn't really work, right? And they are in dire need of a solution because land dispute, it's a real thing down here, man. Communities fight, families fight, people fight, and it's bloody, because of land dispute. They don't. If there was a solution that curbs that, I'm not going to fight you. I just have to see who the last person was, who really has this land, and I pay to that person. And it's, if you're coming to fight me, you're fighting you're not fighting me, you're fighting the system, and you're fighting the government this time, right? So it's not really I think it's something that can be done. I think it's something that should be done because the solution that the whole of Africa needs, right? Communities need this, and this is like the beauty of decentralization and the beauty of blockchain technology, because it's solving real problems on ground that the people actually need, right? So yeah, you were gonna say something.
No, totally. Because actually, like I was about to bounce about what you say on the fact that that's the thing with blockchain. It can actually bring stuff, and too often I think that the solution we see for blockchain, they are tailor-made for Western countries. Let's say, frankly, it's not. Nobody cares about doing something for Africa. So I think that what is cool now with Cardano especially and with Catalyst It's like the fact that there is people on the ground who are proposing things that
Yeah.
are going to benefit to the people on the ground. So like um, that's why we would like to highlight a project we come across, which is about this land registry, and who submit a proposal on Catalyst. So perhaps Joshua, can you tell us a bit more about this project?
Oh, for sure. So just a little preface. Land registry is the biggest generational asset in Africa. Yet, land registry conflicts and problems are prominent in African countries due to the lack of efficient, available, and immutable infrastructure for entering, storing, and validating land ownership, identity, and transfer of ownership. This has created events of social insecurity and scandals with no immutable system currently in place to solve this problem. So, this is a big problem, right? And a project like you mentioned is stepping up to the scene, stepping up to the to to curb this challenge, and with a with a solution called iFoncier. So foncier, I think in French means land, and iFoncier is supposed to be like e-land, like internet land. When am I correct? You're the French guy.
It's totally right.
Oh,
iFoncier, yeah,
thank
totally
you, thank you.
right.
So iFoncier is a project that seeks to provide a country scale solid infrastructure for land identification and registration using blockchain technology. And this project is starting out in Burkina Faso. And subsequently, it's going to be leading adoption in other African nations, right? A solution to one Africa's biggest social problem is a solution to all Africa's biggest problem, right? So iFoncier seeks to build a Cardano blockchain powered solution for land management and registry in Africa, which could be easily accessible by the population with common mobile devices and equally drive the adoption of this technology across the continent. So, iFoncier is a project that's already live right now on Project Catalyst Idea Scale. So you can check that. Look for iFoncier Land Registry Burkina Faso is registered right now in Idea Scale. So iFoncier is IFONCIER. So it's a French word. IFONCIER Land Registry Burkina Faso. If you want to support and get more details about this project and how it plans to curb this problem in Africa, you can check that. And also there is a link down there for you to watch a video of an interview with the CEO of iFoncier, and so you can understand how we are building on ground solution to curb one of the biggest challenges, actually one of the largest challenges down here in Africa. So yeah, that's it.
So thanks. Yeah, actually, just another word about this, because as you said, we did an interview with them, with Laba Nadieba, who was the CEO. So if you really want more detail and understand who he is, because one of the interesting thing with Laba is the fact that was born and raised in Burkina Faso and is working in Germany for quite a long time. So he really knows both culture. So I think it's a really good relay from the two things, and he knows actually how to implement projects on the ground. Because let's be honest, and I think there is also why a lot of projects fail, and I know that because I worked in this field before, is the fact that a lot of projects have been done by Westerners for Africans. Because sometimes I don't think we think we're better, but we think we know better. So the thing is like, let's sorry for that. So like so now the idea with this is really good when we have people from the ground who wants to develop things. And also, let's face something which is real as well. Laba has the key to also find revenue streams, find support in Westerners country, because he also worked for a Westerner company. So he is really like this bridge between the two culture. He understands both, and he can really bring something. So as Joshua say, it's one of the first, if not the first, projects on Cardano talking about land registry in Africa. So that would be really great for you guys to just go in the link we're gonna drop in the description, so you can just see what it is. Feedbacks, Laba told us, like, feedbacks are really welcomed because it helps to refine the project. So yeah, just go there, check what they do, ask questions, and support. That would be really great. So yeah, that's all for me.
Totally. Okay, so perfect. Totally. Thank you so much for that information. Hope they check it out. I hope you do check it out and you give us feedback. Laba would really appreciate that feedback because that would allow for rapid iteration in case you have any contribution or question to inform the project. So that's it from me. That's it from us for the first episode of the POA new episodes. I'm not sure what we're gonna call them, but POA talks. But it was really fun talking about land registry and reviewing solutions that have been built on ground to curb these problems. Thank you so much. Don't forget to join us, like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe, and share this episode. We look forward to receiving your feedback also, so we can improve the quality of our podcast. Without any further ado, Gwen, you have any last words?
You said it all. So I'm just gonna say bye to the community and see you soon in the next episode.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm supposed to say this, but delegate to POA and bye. Yeah, bye.
Bye guys. Bye.